Okay, well, we can get started then. Let's see. I'll go to the agenda and we will start with the roll call to determine the quorum and. Start?
I'm here.
You're here.
Joe Scott.
Carol Hannah.
Terry Dodd.
Okay. Julie Mitchell. We have a quorum, so we can conduct business this evening. The first thing is we have 2 months of meeting minutes. It's gonna be a good night. The February one, it is the one that is the full meeting that we had, so I don't know if anyone has had a chance to glance through that. Whenever you're ready, someone can make a motion to approve them.
I will. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February.
Okay,
A second.
all right, we have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then we have a brief meeting minutes from March, just to sure we can note that we did meet. We didn't have a quorum.
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
Okay, a second.
Sure.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, so we can go to our old business and happy to turn that over to Denise to update us.
Down there for our meeting minutes. Well, good evening, everyone. I know that seems like it's been a while. I don't know why. It just seems like the last month's been a long time. So good to have everyone back here. And we've got 3 all new business. We also have a member in our audience, so we're very thrilled to have Krista Bosman. She has worked for Madison County Soil and Water for now about a couple of years now. So very appreciative of Julie Mitchell for inviting her. Krista has done work at the Falls Park there in programming a few years back under Ron Boncart when he was the superintendent. And then she's worked in a couple of different roles with the county here in the last couple of years. So I know that they are very fortunate to have her. We've been able to work with our stormwater partnership in different ways here in the past year. So we'll just kind of dive right in here for old business. Our first one is our Tree Campus K through 12 program. And we'll give a little bit of background on this program. This program, Krista, is a program that is recognized by Arbor Day Foundation. So we'll talk about it a little bit here in a moment, but our Tree City USA recognition we've had now for 15 years, and that is also recognized through Arbor Day Foundation. This is another program that probably here for the last year and a half, our board has had a goal that we'd really like to become one of the next schools in the state of Indiana to hold that recognition. So there are pieces to that program to qualify. So there are 4 main criteria. The criteria to qualify would be, and since we are a Tree City USA recognized community, we can't be the lead applicant on that. So that requires our school systems to then take lead in the application. However, we can be a part of those programs with them, partner with them, and help form the campus team to then help the development of the program throughout the school year. So it runs school year to school year. It's an annual revolving investment of time and activities with the students and educating them in urban forestry matters. But then also it is got some hands-on experience. So the hands-on experience and education portion of the program would, and they leave it open-ended, flexible to the school's wishes, the community's desires in how they want to shape the program. We first initially in exploring, we thought that it was more involved and more in depth, being a little bit more of a task, I guess, to get that accomplishment. And it's really streamlined. They really have encouraged a lot of this development over the United States here in the last couple of years, making it very possible and doable for small communities like us to be able to work with the schools to get this accomplished. But the main program is based around the 4 goals, and it's forming a teen campus with the school systems, community members, community urban forestry committees, as well as maybe some professionals in that type of industry. And then from that, then they work together to develop a program that they'll run for the school year. And that involves an education goal. And that education goal, you have to have lesson plans. And that lesson plan, it actually can be as simple as one lesson that is taught for the school year. They encourage to start with one, maybe two, and then build as time goes on. So that lesson plan does have to be structured. There's not a set format, but yet they provide templates that you can follow and use. And then just showing that you've made an effort to teach some type of portion of urban forestry, plant biology, might be with soil, it's whatever type of topic that you would like to focus in on, how to properly plant a tree or care for a tree, benefits of trees. So there's a wide range that you can use for your education source. Then the next step is having a hands-on experience. So the hands-on experience can be planting a tree, it could be taking inventory of trees on their campus. It could be pruning a tree, so maybe selecting right tree, right place. So just making sure that they are involved in learning. And then the last piece of it is celebrating Arbor Day. That celebration can take place any time in the year. We've had that with the Tree City USA, and we confirmed that we could do this also with the Tree Campus program, which makes it very nice for our schools because a lot of times they don't have the staff to be able to take care of those new trees in the summertime and that heat requiring that extra supplemental watering. So we have chosen with our elementary to plant our tree in the fall. So then that way it gives the school year for that tree to kind of get a good start before that summertime hits. And so we can celebrate Arbor Day. We just have to proclaim that day as our Arbor Day and have support for pictures and showing that we've celebrated in some fashion. And so we have wanted as a group to be able to get this accomplished. We thought that we would start with the older students and kind of work down, allowing those students to develop the program and letting those students serve as mentors for the younger students. We had reached out to the middle school, and Carol Hannah and I went back in March. I think it was early March at that point. And we met with the science department at the middle school, and they are completely on board with doing this next year. They haven't had any activities that would qualify for them to receive that recognition for this school year, but they are on board to work with us for next year. So what we're going to do, remember in our previous presentations and meetings, there was a pledge that they needed to make to kind of lock them in, and it gets them in communication with their staff lead that helps provide them with resource and support throughout the school year as well. That changed. So now it is it's just basically creating an account, and that gets them into their database and communication. So it's just a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And then there's kind of an assessment tool that if they want to do that, they can kind of see exactly where their ideas and how it could align with meeting those goals already, and kind of assessing how easy this can be accomplished and whatnot. But Melanie McCarty is our lead at the middle school. And so I'm going to be sending her that link. And so they're going to go ahead and commit either the end of the school year, the first of next year is basically the time frame that they need to. But I think she's going to go ahead and connect in with them before the end of the school year. And then that way we're ready to go with having some planning sessions with them in the fall. And then from there, we'll build an activity for hands-on and celebration of Arbor Day. Most likely, this may change because of another event I'm going to talk about here later on this evening. But most likely, what our initial conversations is that doing a tree planting experience for them, maybe 4 or 5 trees that we would start next year, but have that hands-on at the same time next spring with having an Arbor Day celebration. And then from there, we may then have additional hands-on experiences and whatnot. That's kind of the thought behind that going into next year with them. But in further talks with Arbor Day and the representative there, Dana Berry, she had answered my questions in with what the elementary school, which is actually the intermediate, we work with them. They're fourth grade and fifth grade students. So in the fall, we do an Arbor Day celebration, hands-on experience. We teach about the history of Arbor Day as well as the benefits of trees and planting that tree in honor of Arbor Day. Then we added in last year, we'll talk a little bit about this poster contest here in a moment, but we added that event and program. And so that would be the second educational opportunity that they've had, where Carrie put a great presentation that helped teach about the benefits of trees. And then this coming May here, we're adding a third program. We'll talk about a little bit here in a moment, STEM Day at the park. So with that being said, all three of those programs will qualify them for being eligible for recognition for this school year. So we are looking at, there's only 2 school systems in the state of Indiana right now that have this recognition. There were some in the past that kind of, fell off. There's 83, I think, nationwide, but this would put us around the third, unless hopefully there's other school systems and, communities that are also working on this year as well. But hopefully we'll get recognition and good news that we're going to apply here at the end of the school year. I'm going to piece together their educational lesson plans. So they have that. We'll provide our documentation with pictures and proof of what we've done. And then they will submit that, and then we'll hear back. Usually they said around the end of the summer, the first of the school year, when they will get word whether they get recognized as the tree campus. So
let us know if you need any support from
Okay.
water. We will be there.
really, okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And we also have a tree sale. And
As I said, yeah, you have that in
and we are all
September.
native.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're native now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that would probably be perfect timing for an event, and then maybe some fall plantings with them. So yeah, okay. That would be great. So yeah, so we're really excited. I'm going to meet with Kim here the next couple weeks. She's working on STEM program, just got back from spring break. So she's going to get back with me, and we're going to sit down and get them ready for their application. So that way they can get that turned in before the end of the school year, not have to worry about that in the month of June. We have technically till the 30th of June to apply. But I think it's going to be a great addition to our program as well as for theirs. So yeah.
Well, as the urban conservationist, community outreach falls under me, so just
Okay.
reach out if you need anything.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think last year, I think you gave us some brochures for that tree sale that
Mhm.
we passed out at the farmer's market one day.
Yes. Yes. We
Yeah,
did. Yes.
I
We
think
would
we
like
had a
to do
nice
that
stack of them
again.
and we,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
tried to distribute them.
Did anyone have any questions on that? No, you kind of.
That sounds great.
Okay. For our Tree City USA, we got the official letter. That letter is, kind of kicked myself out of that. I want to show you this. You'll get a kick of the letter here. So we got the letter from
To
Mayor.
Mayor
so
Scott.
we've got Mayor Scott Resky. So, but it still counts. So
It still counts.
he got that. It was after our meeting last time, but that official letter came in. Placed that on our town website and shared that with Scott Slade with Times Post. So we are going to we're going to use next week to recognize our community as our 15th year earning a Tree City USA. The post is scheduled to go out on Arbor Day. So that is the 25th of April. So that'll be that Friday. So look forward to seeing that on our town's Facebook, our Urban Forestry Facebook. And also too, Times Post will be covering an article on Thursday, the 24th for us. So, so that will come out. So we'll make sure that we get some copies of that for our records. So,
And didn't you say previously that we're one of the considered one of the smaller cities. Most of them are larger cities
There's
that
a,
are tree city.
yeah, a lot of them are cities, 10,000 plus in population, especially those that have had this recognition for this long. So I really feel, Jeanette was on the original board in 1993, right? When the board was established, and when this all came about, I think well, that would put us around 2010-ish or so. I think there might have been a year missed. I don't know if it's been 15 consecutive years as the staff and committee was forming there when this came out, though, but it's been longstanding, and I think it's something definitely our community should be very proud of. A part of those criteria, of course, just having our tree board that's active. We have an ordinance that helps govern our trees within our public right-of-ways and public lands. And then also celebration of Arbor Day, that's another piece. And that's kind of where we started that relationship with the local elementary school. And then that fourth piece is expending $2 per capita. So you could see in the presentation, I know we've gone over this in previous meetings, but we have expended in 2024, $47 per head per capita for our population. So it's a big, huge investment that our community, as small as it is, invest in our urban forestry management, maintenance and care. And also our goal is, and a lot of this expense is the maintenance of trees in our electric, under our power lines and our utility easements. So that's where that cost goes up quite a bit. But we're starting to see the number of tree removals to slowly go down a little bit. We were up to, I want to say, maybe 200 trees there from the beginning, and then it went down to about 150, and then this last year we went under 100. So I was very pleased to see that. So that means that it allows and frees more funds up for a replacement, because we want to start replacing at a rate where, even if it's on a smaller tree stock, of that 3-to-1 ratio. So it's been a great program that I know that Craig Switz, our electric department supervisor, brought in with Scott Resky when he came in as town manager. And we've been able, as a committee, to build upon that. And our tree keeper software has been able to work really hand in hand with that really well for the last couple of years. So, it's been really exciting. So here's the comparison of the last 3 years. We started doing that just to kind of show where our focuses have been in whether it's tree removals, trimmings, just general maintenance, and then also in our programming efforts too. We've highlighted some of the main things that we've accomplished as a board over the last couple of years. So.
I think we ought to give a little applause, a big thank you to our town council and Scott and his people in here.
Yes.
Because I think for a town our size, we've got great numbers up there.
Yeah.
And without their support, we'd be, very far behind what we are now. So.
Yes. I do. Yeah, I agree. And anytime that we speak about our urban forestry and activities, we actually just had town council last night, and 3 of my slides were about urban forestry, and they really enjoy it. They love how we've involved in the youth with a lot of our programming and our community, and making education a top priority, as well as making sure that our care of our trees and our inventory is a good working plan. And it's not exactly where I want to see it. I want to get it better and better in time. But one thing that we did add, Krista, is that we do have a certified arborist that comes in each year. She takes about a fifth of our territory of our jurisdiction, and she gets on the ground 360-degree assessment of our trees, and that's our street trees, and then also our trees in our park and our cemetery, our golf course, and so forth. So in that way, we can have a good communication system as far as she can spot a tree and see that it needs to either be removed, trimmed, needs some attention, for care. So it's been a good, start, I think, the first couple of years. And like I said, we'd really like to continue to improve upon, that program.
Well, I
And-
did not know this committee had a Facebook page, so I'm following you now. Madison County Soil and Water is following you now. So if there's anything that you would ever want me to share on our Facebook page, let me know.
Okay.
I'd be more than happy to use Pendleton as a shining example.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Krista. Yeah, and that is one of my goals, and I've kind of been behind the 8 ball here the last few months. Our goal is to have maybe 2-3 posts a month. And it's fallen to like 1 post a month, and that's one thing that I would really like to pick up. We've got an intern now. Thought about maybe seeing if, he can put some posts out there for us, if we can, keep him, throughout the summer. But, yeah, we're looking into kind of restructuring some things to be able to open up some more time to be able to devote to that. So, yeah, well, good. Okay. This is an exercise that we did we kind of introduced it in January. We worked on them in February. We're going to give our goals for this next year. We had made that a goal, is that each year we'll start at the beginning of the year establishing some goals going forward. And that way we have the ability to kind of look back and see, how well we did. That was one of my goals as staff lead on this board, is to have a better accountability system for myself, and to kind of have a target to keep in mind. And here is the summary. They're outlined in the meeting minutes as well, but we broke them down into public development and updates. That is our unified development ordinance, which is our standards for our developers. That applies to mostly commercial development, but that could be buffer yards, that could be parking, lot buffering. Also, each home has to have a front yard planting, but then also our residential subdivisions have to have street trees as well. So there's different standards that go into place with our landscape standards that we want to keep an eye on and monitor to see if we need to update and improve. And then also, one of the big things for our policy development, we are working on a comprehensive plan update through our plan commission. And that process, through Plan Commission, we have a steering committee, and that is going to take place it started here early this year, and we'll wrap it up at the end of 2025. We're working with HWC Engineering to get an update to that plan. That plan is kind of the envision of the town and how we see ourselves grow, and what focuses, goals, and objectives that we want to commit to here in the next 5-10 years as we grow. And a part of that, I really wanted to have specific urban forestry goals and objectives outlined in that. I think that you all work really hard with educating out to the public. We want to have those embedded into that document. It gives good standing. So then that way, when we have a developer coming in, we know that those are tied deeply into our comprehensive plan. So that is probably one of our strongest tools that we have as a planning department to get those goals achieved, as we develop here in the future. So we're going to be working with our consultant in getting some specific goals outlined there. So as that starts forming, they had informed me that probably after our 3rd or 4th steering committee, we're having our 3rd steering committee the end of this month. That's when they're going to be ready to start formulating those goals. So, and objectives. So I would like to bring those back to our board in the next few months, and then let you all have input on that. So
Good.
that's not good. Education and training, we've got some opportunities that come up through Indiana DNR. As those come through, I'll keep you informed on those. I have not seen the Tree City, not Tree City, but the Tree Steward course yet, or the refresher. But I know that they've been busy with Arbor Day poster contests and activities, so maybe they're looking at kicking that out here in the next month. So we'll definitely let you know when those come up. And
I usually get those emails too. I must be on their list after
Yeah.
being on.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything. I'm kind of surprised, because last year this time we had received some information,
Yeah.
but, yeah, so, okay, but I didn't miss it. So we'll let you know about that. Also, kind of outline there, our public education and outreach, just kind of summarize there, did increase that we'd like to have at least 3 farmers market booths this year. We did 2 the last couple of summers. Well, maybe actually, first summer we might have just did 1 time, and then last year we did 2. And so we'd like to increase that to 3 this summer. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then, of course, just our education outreach we do with our local schools. Tree projects there, we'd like to do a pruning exercise at Falls Park. We had talked to Aaron Burse, the park director. He said that he would be completely on board with that with their young trees. We did an exercise at Franklin Street, some new trees that we planted a few years ago. So that was a lot of fun. So we'd like to repeat that this year. And then 2, there is an opportunity. I need to check with Indiana DNR to see if the funding is still there, but they will kick out sometime this summer an open window for application for tree projects in the fall. So that was in September of last year. They anticipate the same for this year. I have plans to stay in tune with that and see what we can do. And then just same things here. We don't have to go in detail, but also Crown Hill Arboretum. We talked about having a field trip there. The director of that program is Carrie Tosher, and she was going to try to do something. I just need to reach out to her to see if she has formulated any plans for that. So I'll keep you posted on that. And then Joe Scott had a great idea with soil treatment standards for development. Sometimes when we get commercial development and even residential development, it's the idea is that soil that is existing there, we want to keep it on site there as as best as possible. A lot of times they then take it out, but we want to be able for them to reestablish that soil, not bringing in soil that's in conflict. It's just going to improve the sustainability for trees and plants and so forth as the years go on. So having that as a commitment and requirement in our standards is something we don't have, and we would like to be able to require that. So then when they submit their secondary plats, that will be language requiring them to keep it on site. So, any questions about our goals and objectives that we set as a committee?
I have one question, just on that last point. How far in, like, what's the range in Pendleton that would, like, how far outside of Pendleton? Does it have to be like in proper Pendleton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so it would be within the jurisdiction of the town.
Okay.
Yes, not
Not
outside,
outside.
not all Pendleton zip code. So
Right.
there is actually 4, well, there's 3 jurisdictions within the zip code of the town of Pendleton. So it's unincorporated Madison County, town of Ingalls, and then the town of Pendleton. So it would just apply for the town of Pendleton boundaries.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. So, and then there are 4 townships within within our jurisdiction.
Okay.
But yes, so yes, so it unfortunately we've talked about what we call extraterritorial, but we've not explored that. But that could be if we wanted to establish an ordinance to say our standards apply within, say, 1 mile up to 2 miles is what I understand that our standards could then apply to. The only thing is that if it's like where I live 3 miles out into Madison County jurisdictions. But if I were to live, say, 1 mile past our boundary to the east, any development would took place, those developers would be subject to our building standards. However, we don't receive any type of tax revenue or support for those services and reviews and inspections and so forth. So, but it's something that we possibly could consider, later on down there. But yeah, that's a great question.
Just because obviously development's just gonna keep going and going and going, and
Yeah.
so.
And a lot of it is outside.
Right, and it just would be
Yeah.
nice to have that, because,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, the soil is just a mess when they just take all the topsoil away and leave you with just the clay.
Yeah.
Me, yep.
Yes, yeah, that would be great.
Mhm.
So there's, I anticipate quite a bit of growth here in the next, 10, 20 years. I think we're gonna see our
Yeah.
landscape, it's
Yes.
not just in our own jurisdiction and boundaries of our town, but LaPel, they're gonna start seeing a lot of growth, kind of Ingalls is already experiencing a lot of growth. So, and even unincorporated Madison County. Even on State Road 9 there, we get inquiries about properties that border our jurisdiction of interest to then potentially annex into the town. So I
How
think
far out does our jurisdiction go on 9?
it goes right to, I think it's a little bit shifted, but as far as east, it goes to, it's right there where, and I'm forgetting, it's Michelle Lane. It's right on the edge of Michelle Lane. I think it's called, Lantern Meadows. Yes, Lantern Meadows. So they are not within our boundaries, but it stops right there. That is on then, say, the east side of the road. The west side, it goes a little bit farther, 900 South, right there at the corner. So, we actually
But
just.
that's why when that was planning, when Hunsinger Farms was butting up against that, we couldn't,
Mhm.
we couldn't do anything about a access
Connecting,
connection.
yes.
Because they weren't,
Couldn't connect it to a distance.
because
Yeah.
they weren't
They weren't
part of,
open to
they
that.
weren't
Yeah.
part of town.
They weren't open to that.
And
That's
then-
such a nice way of putting that. They weren't open to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing too, as we develop, we want to promote and encourage connectivity. That is a big piece, not only just with our road systems, but our trails, our amenities and so forth. So yeah, that was what the goal was, is hopeful that they, would have entertained that idea. But I wasn't working for the town at that point, but yes, that was a hope. I did hear about that. Yeah, and then of course, Ag 101, that development out there, which is right there at, right off of State Road 9. It's the company that, I think they produce, animal feed, some sort there. They have a lot of land there and they're in the middle of growing as well, and
Don't they use the byproduct of Nestle?
that's.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah,
exactly
and that's,
right.
and that's in our town limits then.
So
Or
they
part of
are
it.
outside of
So-
our town limits, but we have extended water to them and they have future intentions to annex.
Okay.
So I think things will gonna start growing west and south and east. So, yeah. So, for new business, the items that we have here are poster contests. Just want to let you know that, you see there outlined, our honorable mention. There are 5 classrooms in 5th grade this year. Every single student created a poster, the theme, Healthy Trees, Healthy Me. And, they had, right before spring break, had narrowed it down to then the top 3 winners of each of the 5 classes. From there, then our group had selected the top classroom winner. Those names are listed there. And then we kicked that back to the school, and the principal, Melissa Hagerman, then had the daunting task of selecting the top winner for the school. And top winner was Memphis Hofer. And you'll see there in the picture there, all the top 15 posters. We'll have them back next Tuesday. We're going to celebrate and recognize those 15 students, as well as our top school winner. So we'll have all their posters there with them, and we'll be giving some gift bags to each of those students. But then also a certificate is going to go out to every student, because every student did create their own individual poster, which I think is probably the coolest part of the project, I think, for us. So they were able to just explore, research, and learn many benefits of trees, and then they implemented what they wanted to put into their individual posters. Even the top 15, they were all so different. So very, very cool. And then the next slide here shows then their top winning poster from Memphis, and her poster was entered into the state contest that was hosted by Indiana DNR. So we will give results next month as far as how she stood in that contest. Indiana DNR they said sometime next week, they're going to then officially announce their top 3 winners from there. And so we'll see how that fares out. Last year, our school winner got second place, Nora Bishop did. So either way, whether or not she's in the top 3 or not, her poster was phenomenal. I love her name hanging. They have to have their name on the poster, so I thought she was very creative in how she hung that. There off the limb of the tree, and then of course the animals and all the detail was phenomenal. So yeah. We will, and then, that being said, we invite you all to come next Tuesday, at 10 o'clock, maybe a few minutes early, just because they are on a tight schedule. They're gonna start shuttling the students in around 9:45 into the cafeteria at the intermediate school. So when you go to East Street, you're gonna see, facing that center parking lot there, it's the building to the left. Just go into the office there, have your ID on you. I'm gonna get there probably around 9:20, start setting up, so then that way everything's set up, ready to go when the students come in. And then we'll just recognize the students then and give them their prizes, and then they'll be back off to the next class. So if you can come, that would be great.
Will it be okay if I bring Clark with me?
Bring Clark, yes, that would be great. Yes, yep, that would be wonderful. I want you to be there. Okay, and then the next program coming up here Friday, May the 16th, we're having STEM Day at the park. This is not a brand new program to the elementary, but they did this program 10 years ago. And so Kim Collier was a part of that, and she asked the principal if they could bring it back. And Melissa Hagerman was in full support of it. So it's going to be a fun afternoon at the park. It is going to take place, I think they're going to start with actually lunch. Julie Mitchell has reserved the large shelter house, so they're gonna have lunch at the park somewhere around the 10:30, 11 kind of. And then right now they're looking at around 11:30 to 2:30 because this is their 5th grade classes again. They have 5 classes, so they're gonna have 5 rotating stations. Those stations are going to be planned about every half hour with about a 5-minute interval for them to rotate between the stations. And those 5 stations, we've been able to assist them in getting them set up. The first station is going to be at the Pendleton Historical Museum. Spoke with Nancy, and Nancy met with her board, and they approved for a tour. So they're going to come in, allow the students to tour for about 20 to 25 minutes. And learn about the history of Pendleton. The second station is a water flow test. That is going to be hosted by the school and the teachers there. That water flow test, I don't know all the details, but they're going to test the flow of water on Fall Creek. So it's going to be an active activity that they're going to have along the creek bed there at the back end of the museum, there where that water is shallow. And then the third station is we have a station that Buck Evans, I believe, was gonna host about more worms and soil and how they interact. He had done that 10 years ago, but he had a conflict with that day, so he wasn't able to commit to this year. They in replace of that, talked to Coco Bill, she's the president of the park board, and the park is in the starting phases of an update to their park master plan, which has to be updated every 5 years. It's hard to believe that when I started working at the park in 2018, they were in the midst of that master plan update, and here we are again. So they would like to have input from the youth and to have that inputted into that master plan.
That's great.
So she is going to host a station along with Kimberly Horn, who is the consultant for the job, and have some boards or interaction to be able to gather some input from the youth as far as what they like about the park, things that maybe they feel needs to be improved, and what they'd like to see at the park. So I think that was a really cool addition. So Kim Collier is totally excited about that as well. letting her fifth graders be the voice for that master plan. The fourth station is going to be electrofishing station. We've got Andrew Holloway, who's a park board member, and he works for Muncie Sanitary District. And so he is their fish biologist. And so he's going to take off that day and come and do a demonstration as far as taking count and species data for fish in Fall Creek as well that day. So he'll be somewhere stationed by the creek as well.
I want to
And
see that.
yeah.
He actually, formed that
He did
last summer for us.
Yeah,
And it is pretty fascinating.
yeah,
I got to see, not all of it, but I got to catch some of it, and
yeah,
it's 16 different species.
that's
I
amazing.
didn't realize how many different small species fish that big things have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool,
Yeah.
yes. And since there are 5 stations, if you can be there, the entire, 2.5 hour span, I definitely would encourage everyone to rotate stations and to be able to learn, bring back, to the board, what, each of those stations, what they taught and, your take on that. So, and then that 5th station, we will be at the community building. Julie's got that reserved for us. We've got the big screen. How many inches is it? 90? 85? Yeah,
Is that
TV?
like that size?
This might be a 70.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know if.
It's big anyway.
It's big, yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good, because those classes, I mean, there's a lot of kids.
Yeah, there'll be
so
about
they'll be able,
25 in each class.
yeah, so they'll be
Yeah.
able to see.
this one appears bigger to me, but it may just be because I'm.
You're right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to, I'll have to find out from our IT guy how big this one is. So, but yeah, so we're going to share about a tree keeper program. So what I'd like to do is I would like to, and it may not be through Bluegrass Farms because they're going to be smaller stock trees. So I'm probably just going to go to local nursery or maybe we could even go up there where you work at, Carrie.
Yeah.
And just looking at, and they could just be some, 1-inch caliber trees or, but some trees that maybe we can help them take measurements is what I'm thinking. Do a tree identification process of the tree. And then also look at the conditions of the tree. And then they can kind of input that. So they can kind of take their own data collection and then we can input each and might break off into groups, like maybe 5 groups, and then they all can work together to be able to form that data. And then we can show them how we input that into our tree keeper program. So kind of what my thoughts are. I still need to build that. So if you have any ideas or thoughts on that, let me know. But I thought, if we can, work in 4 or 5 groups and have 4 or 5 trees that they can kind of all measure and work off of, that'd be kind of a fun exercise. So, okay. And that kind of helps them with the technology piece of STEM Day. So, any questions on that? Okay, so we'll, I'll confirm too between now and then. I'm thinking our May meeting might be the day before.
It is, and
Is it?
I'm not gonna be here
Okay,
the day
okay.
before. I'll be here
Okay.
for STEM Day,
okay.
but I was gonna maybe suggest we just.
We
have
just
this
do
STEM
STEM Day?
STEM Day is
Okay,
our meeting.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that works for me. Okay, so, great, okay. So we'll plan on doing that and then I will reach out to you once I hear from Kim. I provided her all the contacts from the reps from each of the stations, so that communication may come from her or me, but we'll make sure that you all know when we're going to start for sure.
Yeah.
She was thinking tentatively 11:30, but yeah, to get close, I'll kick that information out to you.
Yeah, let me know if you do want, I mean, I feel confident they'll support any kind of education thing as far as let's get 5 tree species
Okay.
and just deliver them for the day and then bring them back.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, that would be perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll talk to them.
Okay.
And see if, I mean, even though it's not all ironed out and just see what the reaction is. I'm sure they,
Yeah. Okay, and we'll tell the kids that, you know,
Yeah.
be kind to the trees and be easy on, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
And maybe
yeah.
we'll just have one of them do the measuring and then, but they can just stand back and, yeah, that would be perfect. Okay. Okay. Next item on the list for new business, we have, kind of talked about this a little bit ago. I kind of gave a little bit of information on it. This is an idea that came from the South Madison Community Foundation. Part of their board is Rachel Christensen. I don't know if she's the president of that board, but she's very involved, active member of that board. And she was the former planning director for the town of Pendleton, and she led the urban forestry at that time. And when she was here, she experienced when we went through the unfortunate tornado in 2019. But then the following would have been in October of 2020, we had the recovery tree project. So within that span of a year and a half, Rachel Christensen worked with Carrie Tosher, which was the executive director of Indiana DNR at that time. And then they pulled in Davy Resource, the Community Foundation, and then the park. At that time, I worked at the park, and so we all worked together to then create a tree planting project where we planted 200 trees on residential properties and 100 trees at the park. So what they would like to do is to have kind of an encore event in honor of that 5-year anniversary mark of that event, which was a really cool day for our community. And what the idea, we had met initially in late March, and the idea is to then have, because they want to build lifelong tree advocates, you know, for especially the youth, want to support that ecological sustainability. That is a big strategic goal for the Community Foundation. Also giving the opportunity for the youth to connect with the nature, and then also giving some tree education along the way. So giving that hands-on experience, teaching them that right tree, right place, how to properly plant a tree, and then learn about the benefits of trees and so forth throughout the process. Also, part of our conversations were about our tree campus program and our goals as a committee. And so they would like to highlight that and then to also be a part of this education and outreach to encourage other schools, which would be outside of even Pendleton. So the South Madison Community Foundation, they work very closely with our school systems in Pendleton, which is our high school, our middle school, and our 3 elementaries, Maple Ridge East Elementary and the elementary downtown here, and then also our Lapel School. So I understand, I think they have Lapel High School, and then their intermediate and their elementary is in one campus building. So that would be a total of 7 schools across South Madison. And what we would like to do is each of those schools plant 5 trees in the fall in honor of that 5-year anniversary. So in doing that, we want to allow the schools to select how, where, and who plants those trees. So giving them that flexibility and creativity to be able to form their own individual day and program, but us kind of giving the resources and the guidance and providing that tree stock to them. They will probably be smaller trees, probably a 5-7 gallon bucket tree at big, something that they can each maneuver and be a part of planting that day. And then what we're thinking about doing is having contact initially with those schools, getting a point of contact, getting them on board committed here this next month, in the month of May. Then we would then come back in August after we've kind of developed the program over the summertime. And then in August and September, having those activities for them to be able to maybe select their trees that they would like to plant, spot where they'd like to plant them, and then be there then the planting day then in October. As far as funding, what we're kind of waiting on right now is the foundation is establishing this program as one of their strategic goals. And in doing so, once the board has approved that, then the funding comes along with it. we would not even have to go through that, Bright Future application process to get funding for these 35 trees. So they're in the middle of working on that right now. And so once that gets all confirmed, Tammy Bowman, the executive director of the foundation, said she'll reach out and then we can go ahead and start having those conversations with the schools here this next month. So. And then if you have any, ideas or thoughts here over the next 6 months, I'll definitely keep you, abreast on, how all this develops and so forth. But, I think it would be a great way to be able to encourage the youth, to be a part of our future. So, to continue what that legacy project that we had, for our recovery tree project, and to be able to show that it's a continually giving project. So I'm excited to.
Wouldn't that be dual serving in that we could utilize this for the Arbor Day?
Yes,
As
yes,
well.
exactly. And that's exactly where I think that with our tree campus programs for our middle school, that would automatically qualify
Yeah.
them for that. And
Yeah.
what our
So they may
hope
not have to
is,
do, that
yes,
could be it instead of a separate.
a separate event, yeah, because you can do that at any time during the year.
Yeah.
We may still keep to our one tree planting for our elementary here because
Yeah.
it's been a long time tradition.
Yeah.
But this could easily qualify for that hands-on and Arbor Day experience. And if we want to add something else in the spring, we most certainly can do that for both campuses. But yes, that was one of the things that the foundation was very interested in, is really encouraging all these other campuses to do the same and
Mhm.
follow suit. So if we could have all 7 next year, we can support them as best as we can. But I think with hosting, the biggest task would be having the hands-on experience and the Arbor Day celebration. The educational plan, we can put that and it can be the same for all schools. So that's what my hope is, and I know you all share the same, that if those point of contacts that we could reach out to, Tammy was gonna work on for the school of Lapel. And then, also too, she works really closely with East Elementary and Maple Ridge, and getting those contacts and having those conversations. We want to right away put that plug in for the tree campus program.
Yeah.
And then, it would just be a very easy application next year. And they could do that even well before the end of the school year.
Yeah.
And on the heels of the weather that Lapel experienced, you
Yes.
think that they may be more empathetic and open to
Yeah.
tree
Sure, they lost
recovery.
a lot of
Yeah.
trees, yeah.
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 So would, the community foundation, would they continue that program? Would that be an ongoing program after this year?
I'm not for sure, I don't foresee the tree planting, the 5, in honor of that,
Right.
program. But as far as, it very well could, I mean, it could grow into maybe a different facet or a different
Right.
other program.
That would be great.
Yeah, yeah. I just think to the whole idea of having South Madison schools all on board
Yeah.
with this program and this, making this a priority for our students is huge.
Mhm.
So,
And looking way into the future, I just had a flash go through my brain. Someday we'll have a scholarship established at the high school
mhm,
for anybody going into urban forestry
Yeah.
or park related
yes,
Oh.
studies. Would that be awesome?
yes, yes.
And these kids were growing up from the 5th
Mhm.
grade up.
Yes,
At some point, they'll be the ones.
That's still, I don't know how many years
Scholarship.
we've planted at
Yeah.
the elementary, but
Lots. It seems like it's been at least.
when the seniors to go back
Mhm.
and look at the trees that they planted.
Oh, yeah.
I don't,
So here they are in high school now, and, you kind of hope that a little bit of that,
yeah,
they still have it in their mind.
yeah.
Or
Or when they see what Drew's doing with the fish.
yeah,
Right,
yes.
And all those things.
I,
all the
I encourage
thinking-
them to go
yeah,
into that.
Or just
field.
realizing that there are
Yeah.
jobs in
Yes.
in those fields,
absolutely.
yeah,
That'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah, let one of those light bulbs go on.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
And I don't always remember him that long.
Mm.
And I know, to your point, Joe, I think that even groups like, Friends of the Library, Friends of Falls Park, you know, even if that's something that joint forces to be able to provide that
Mhm.
funding for, even as $1,000 grant just pay for books, I
Right.
think that would be.
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that reminds me of our lending library tree that the
Yeah.
two groups were
Yeah.
able to accomplish through that same funding source through the
Mhm.
foundation. So, yeah. Kind of full circle
Yeah,
into the,
yeah.
pretty cool. Oh, awesome. Okay, well, we're gonna, real quick here because we have something very, very exciting that I'm excited to learn about. But farmer's market, booth, last year we did it the second week of July, the second, Saturday then of August. These dates fall in line with that. And I know sometimes June is a little iffy on the weather. I personally, I've got a kiddo that is graduating as well in June, and I've got a couple of Saturdays that are out that month. So I thought maybe July, August, September would work a little bit better. It hits us in our produce section season as well. But if these dates do not work well, we can most certainly change them.
Have you
But I did-
established those with Karen?
I sent her a text today and then she came back, she goes, oh, I have this number down saved as Ron Barnhart's name. So, and then I didn't hear back because I couldn't recall, I was thinking that we moved it out of October and we ended the end of September. So-
Right. it
So
doesn't
I was
go
kind of,
in
but
October.
Jennifer was able to confirm that.
Right.
So,
If those dates work for you, then I think I can.
and those work. And the way that we work the farmer's market, it's just if you're available, and even if you want to stop in for a half hour. You know, you don't have to stay the whole time. You know, half hour, we just set out brochures and information. Last year, we added some activities with sidewalk chalk around there, Joe Scott and
Facebook paint,
Friends of all-
Facebook face paint.
yeah, we had a young gal that came in and did face painting, that she painted some trees or leaves on their cheek. It was a lot of fun. So like to continue doing things like that are interactive and,
And if appropriate, that would be, because part of what you'll be hearing next is educating the community.
yeah,
Mhm.
So if we can utilize that space to
yeah,
talk about our invasive initiative,
yeah,
that
Okay.
would be.
that would be wonderful.
I have
Yeah.
those dates.
Mhm.
Me too.
Okay.
And
Yeah, yeah, so if we find, you know, we need to switch it, that's fine, but if you're okay with it, I would like to present those dates to Karen and get them on the books, and that way we can kind of be in that corner. Do you like that bend area? Did that seem to kind of work well with having the,
Isn't that where she's
Sidewalk
kind of
shop?
putting nonprofits and kind of that kind of.
yeah,
I don't know if that's still true this year or not. but
I'll
it
confirm
probably
it.
You might
could be.
see,
That's
yeah,
a great
there's-
spot for him.
Yeah.
Is the market from 7 till noon?
No, it's from 9 to 1 now, I
9 to
think.
1.
9 to 12:30.
9 to 12:30.
And I have
Seven.
candy. We can always, I have a nice candy.
Well, way back in the old days, we started at 7.
Well, yeah, we start setting up at 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause I remember getting up when it was still dark.
yeah. So I'll get there, I'll
Okay.
have all the stuff
Yeah.
and bring in and get it set up, and yes, you can cover an hour, that'd be wonderful. Okay, all right, well, if you don't have any questions for me or anything, then, I would love to turn it over to Julie Mitchell. She is going to share with an exciting program, that a long time needed program, I think, for Falls Park, in our invasive trees, so I'm very excited to hear all about it, so.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to share with you.
Mhm.
Um, I'm on the heels of educating myself, and one of the things primarily that needs to happen is to educate others too. I was introduced by Sherry Bell, that was with the park last year and is now with Mounds Park, and introduced to the concerns of some of our invasives in the park. And I know that it was her hopes, if she had stayed with us at Mount Mounds, that she was going to initiate this too. January 16th, I think that date's gonna stick in my head. I just took a phone call at the park from a gentleman named Robert Gomez. He's from Hamilton County. He is a fellow master gardener, and he's also very involved and has been in invasive eradication in Hamilton County, as well as other places. I'm finding that people that are active with this seem to have a great passion for it, and they don't just stay necessarily in their home communities, but they will travel to attend events in other areas. So he and his wife were walking their dog in the park, and this is middle of January. And he was very concerned at the amount of honeysuckle that we have. And you can tell it in the middle of January because that's almost like an evergreen. It will stay green through the winter, or it's the last the last thing to be green in the fall and the first thing to be green in the spring. Sherry is educated me that the tree of heaven is also a concern for us. And then she showed me on the banks of the creek, pretty much right behind the dog park, we have some giant hogweed. And that is, if you don't know of that, it is a highly toxic dermatitis, right? Not a lot of that, but what we do have, this is the time to take care of that. So Indiana Parks and Rec had a lunch and learn a couple weeks ago. And Erin let me know of it, and I participated in it. The first half was on tree health for trails, along trails. And the second half was Dawn Slack, who is at the state level on invasives. So the timing of things has just been phenomenal. So at the state level, and I have some handouts for you, but I wanted to give you a bit of introduction here. At the state level, and I'm learning lots of new acronyms, SICM, State Invasive, I'll let the handouts. I don't have everything in my head yet. But Don Slack is, I learned during that lunch and learn, 30 years as a botanist and ecology ecologist. He knows his stuff. At the county level is SISMA. And this is probably an appropriate time. This map on the bottom half of this first page shows you that Madison County is in white, which represents that we don't have a SISMA currently. Let me introduce, if you don't know her, Krista. Krista is part of their strategic plan, I have learned here in the last month, is to form a SISMA for health. Okay. She has reached out to, so the very first thing, every educational thing that I read is get a land survey, make a plan. Don't just start diving into this stuff, right? It can be very overwhelming, one, and we need to know what we're doing. So Dawn has Krista reached out to Dawn, and May 23rd at 10 a.m., Dawn is going to be here and we will walk the trails. Help let her educate us. The day before that, May 22nd, I signed up for regional training in Rushville. Yes, 9 to 3:30, so a 6-hour training, and it's a hands-on training, so. And that's free. There's regional trainings throughout the state. There's also a annual conference. They haven't announced where yet. It was in Bloomington last year. I don't know if they have that in the same place or if that rotates, but we're awaiting. So I'm amazed at the amount of information and the support that's out there. Under, and nationwide, there's a initiative called Weed Wranglers. And they help support events. Think of this as at least a 5-year project. This is not something, oh, we're gonna do in a couple of events in a couple of days. And Weed Wranglers will support you in helping, on their social media sites, post events. And that will bring people from other counties that have experience that help. So 2 weeks ago now, we gathered, 4 of us met. Krista, Stephanie Buck, and Tammy Bowman and I met at the park office. And we're going to meet again next month. South Madison Foundation has just finished their new strategic plan too. You alluded to that too, but let me read you. Strategies, number 1, support efforts to preserve, protect, restore, and expand green space. Fund the restoration and sustainable management of green spaces and the protection of local biodiversity for future generations. Provide grants and volunteer opportunities for entities and individuals that address natural resource and quality of place initiatives. So we're all at a place, here's Krista getting ready to do what's necessary to create our SISMA, and Tammy's very much on board. There is usually federal funding available for tools and chemicals for these events, but everything's on hold right now from a federal level. It's going to take many hands, and it's going to take, many different events. We will speak more eloquently after Dawn has. We've walked with Dawn and really know what we're facing. Again, I'm still just in the baby steps, trying to educate myself, and so that we go about this appropriately.
And is it just plants and foliage, or like I saw a picture of the bug here? too. Does it talk about
It talks about what
insects that are?
what insects, what birds, invasives harbor versus what one's natives harbor.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
yeah.
And so it's first identify and then eradicate and then replenish with natives.
Yeah,
And I know that Weed Wranglers is, they're more about manual tools, not so much chainsaws and such, but I did get identified during this lunch and learn, because Robert told me, Weed Wranglers is great, but they don't like you using power tools. So I was able to ask Dawn during that lunch and learn in the Q&A about that. And she said, it's not that we don't want it. It's that you need to make sure keep two groups separate. One group that's working just manual and the one group that knows what they're doing on the
Yeah.
power tools.
Yeah.
Um, a invasive event, they're very adamant. The first part of that event is educating people on how to identify what they're looking for as well as safety. So
Yeah.
these events and Dawn highly recommends 2-hour events. And she said, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish in these 2-hour events. Some will be pulling out, others will be dragging out to the dump truck or whatever. So there's a lot more to come, but I wanted to at least introduce you guys.
Oh, that's
to-
great.
People can manage 2 hours. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I can,
Yeah.
you know, you tell them it's gonna be 5 hours, something like that,
Or a whole
I don't
day.
have time.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't 2
Spend the
hours
whole day on
and stay, yeah, people can manage that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have, and Hamilton, so Robert Gomez, he's a realtor, out of Hamilton County, and he brought 2 other people from the HIP is Hamilton County's SISMA. And they brought all kinds of pamphlets and information for us, and they spoke at Friends of Falls Park meeting last night. And just briefly, you know, again, just a 10 or 15-minute, we gotta get people in to know and educate. And I really feel like with our community, there's many different avenues, not just Friends of the Park. I think when people know, and as we plan these events, I think they'll come and help. So I have lots of questions for Dawn that day. Me too. Yeah, we both will be learning, right? Right? And what would you like to add?
I mean, I think you covered everything. I don't know.
Yeah, we're,
If you want to know more about me individually, if you want to know more about soil and water.
I have a question. When we're talking about invasive plants, what about invasive plants that are in the water? Like in our pond, is that part of the dressing?
well, good question.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll ask that question, because we're just looking, you know, up till now, it's just been land, but that's a great point.
Since we have water,
Yeah.
the pond and the basin.
And Andrew could probably help us with that too. Drew's pretty good. So what I've learned, 83% of our invasives come from residential places. I have this gorgeous fall clematis that I got a start from my neighbor 3 years ago, because hers are gorgeous in the fall. And last week I identified it as the invasive, it's not invasive. Yes. Native has jagged edge leaves. The invasive has smooth edge. And so I dug mine out this week. It's gone, hopefully. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah,
Though.
they usually,
They're very invasive.
Right.
keep
Yeah.
at it.
I've got 2 burning bushes that were there when I bought the house, too. So now they're probably should start chipping away.
Hasn't forsythia been identified as invasive?
I haven't.
I think I did. I think I
I
have.
think when
Have
we
you read
walked,
that?
remember that time we walked to the park with people? We had lunch, then we walked to the park.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, I can't think of her name,
Gary
Oh,
Coulter,
no.
Aaron Flint.
Erin. I think Erin, as we walked by the Great Goose Inn.
I remember her talking with.
I didn't think she said that, and I'm like, oh, no, not forsythia.
Oh, here's a pertinent piece. Honey, each invasive, whatever you're dealing with, has its recommended time to eradicate, if you will,
The
in
best-
a calendar year,
The best time.
the best.
Yeah.
April and May are the only 2 months that you shouldn't eradicate honeysuckle.
You should not.
You should not. Because the saps float. Now, I don't know I don't know any more other than
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
there is I have a calendar
Yeah,
from Sikkim
yeah.
that lists some of the major species and it's the Japanese bush honeysuckle that we have.
Mhm.
And there's a viney one too. And then, the tree of heaven. So I think those are our top two that we need to work on, but Dawn may tell us otherwise. She
Mhm.
may
Yeah. I know I've walked at Mounds Park before after they've had one of their
garlic mustard
mustard
pulls.
pulls. Yeah, they're just,
Mhm.
then.
That's actually next week.
Is it? Yeah,
And they've been doing that for 15 years.
yeah.
You know, they say plan on 5 to 10 years
Mhm.
for this. So it will be
Well, it's probably, it will never end. I mean, it's,
right.
and there'll always be something new coming along.
Yeah.
Mhm. Butterfly bush. Butterfly bush is so pretty and it's now right on the edge.
Yes.
Yes. I know. I know, it's so pretty, you know.
Well,
I know it, but
When I mentioned it after my phone call with Robert, and when I brought this to Aaron and mentioned it and said, if you're okay, I'd like to learn more. And having no idea we'd be where we're at in this short amount of time with the connections
Yeah.
and the
That
support.
phone call, wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
His comment was, yeah, we've kicked that can down the road long enough. So at least we'll get our assessment from them.
Yeah.
All these things that you're saying are so important for us to communicate with people that read our website and, this 83% is amazing to me. And you stop and think how many people have Madison and our,
Right?
beautiful.
Now, it's the fall one, the little
Right,
white
right.
flowers, but
They
yes.
smell so good.
Look at this picture from Hamilton County of burning bushes.
Oh, well, and the pear ones. Oh.
I had somebody ask me the other day, why doesn't urban forestry? I see something about all the pear trees out
I
there.
had to cross every time I drive
I
right
know,
now.
I never see them all, I know.
Rapid pear.
Down State Street there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took that.
Wow.
That is amazing. What you just said. I think we need to share that as in every way that we can.
Yeah. And I feel like, nurseries are doing better about not, I mean, it used to be, they would just sell whatever they could sell.
I don't know about, like, I haven't visited like a big box nursery.
See
To see if what they have, but
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, there's so many options to burning bush,
Mm-hmm,
pretty fall color in the shrub
yeah,
that,
that's,
yeah, but
I would like to share, Madison County Soil and Water has a cost share program. And one of our programs is invasive species or invasive tree removal. So if you would like, I can leave this here. You
Yeah,
guys can
okay,
have it.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. There's a cost share program on that?
I started out part-time, a couple years ago now. I was part-time education coordinator. And then just this past January, I was made full-time. We got a Clean Water Indiana grant and, I'm the urban conservationist / MS4 coordinator. So I'm wearing a couple different hats.
yeah.
And part of what was written in the grant is that I need to develop a system.
Okay.
So you're right.
She did the maiden project.
Yeah.
And here you guys are.
It's all fell
Just so
together.
you know, you guys were discussed, the town of Pendleton was discussed in my board meeting I had this morning about this. And we will be using Pendleton as, our pet project for a couple different things. Just because we know, Pendleton has the right mindset with the people that live in this community to accept and do these things, so. And I'm from Pendleton.
Well, our park is just our jewel.
It is. It's our pride and joy.
Pride and joy,
We have
and-
this.
Yeah, and we will do anything we can to keep it that way.
You know, one thing I remember from when Robert and those folks came to Friends Falls Park was when someone on the board of Friends Falls Park said, well, we've got that honeysuckle and the bees love it. And the lady of that group, she said, they probably do, but she said, comparing what those pollinators are getting from that invasive plant to what a native plant would give them is like looking at giving your children candy every day instead of nutrients.
This is the exact same thing.
I never
You don't
thought
get the same
Yeah,
nutrients.
that's interesting. And I think
Yeah,
that
but
would be
it's
another important
attractive to
thing
them,
to
yeah.
inform the public.
It's like when kids sit
That's
and
a
eat a
good-
bag of chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're full.
There
They're
you
not
go.
fed, but they're not getting what they need.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love that.
Major project, major.
I know, I think about that back corner, well, I think of it as the back corner of the walking path, like right in front of your house.
Oh,
That back corner, like
Yeah.
before it
Oh.
grows. It's,
I know.
yeah, it's
And
just.
I don't know how much of that belongs to the park and how much of that belongs to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but there's, it's so bad through there, I just, yeah, I can't.
So,
Let's see
that, that's Tree of Heaven that was across
I
the
don't know what
street.
that is.
Just
They
The office.
grew right up against foundations.
They had this long, long way.
They look like fern.
Oh, yes, I know. Yeah, okay, okay.
If you, and every one of those are little seed pods. If you just cut it down. It's steroids for the root.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know that
So
track.
there's
Yeah,
two
yeah,
different
yeah.
types. Happy squirt, cut stump, or basil bark. The way that you treat the trunk, the tree to kill,
Yeah.
kill it under.
So you have to use some kind of chemical then.
You do,
Yeah.
and
Kill it first and then you pick it out.
take it out. So,
Okay.
and Sherry educated us, and so we treated those that were just across the parking lot there. We treated those last fall, and then they came down this spring.
So did they not, so they didn't have any foliage, so to speak, this spring?
Oh.
Well, and it was a before the foliage even started
Right.
coming out. So I don't know if you could consider the whole tree dead or not,
Right.
but the way that you
Oh, yeah.
disperse.
Yes, yeah, and it stays real green.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, this could be, this could be important.
Saving grace for our
Yeah.
park.
Yeah, well, and like you're saying, we could get a lot of groups involved with it. I mean, it would be great for schools. I mean, to learn, other organizations that.
All of those organizations that utilize the park, the Kiwanis.
Yeah, yeah, but the scouts, yeah.
South America.
The soccer teams.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely,
That's
yeah.
Participates in ours.
Here's your introduction.
Yeah, this is go there for sure.
You
yeah.
were,
Association of.
you were meant to retire. And then you brought us to the park.
Last year.
You are blessing.
Okay. We have a different conservation
I've already
every year.
Voice it to us. Bring recycling.
Oh.
Especially for,
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
nothing else, for the large events.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
that's a
right.
good thing for me to bring up at our next Heritage Fair meeting. I will do that.
And I'll do some legwork to figure out, you know, and I know it can be costly, I know that's why a lot, but this community that cares so much about our community offers no recycling
Mhm.
at our events.
Mhm.
I know my daughter is with Everwise Amphitheater downtown Indy, and, you know, accolades for how both Ruoff and Everwise recycle.
Yeah.
They pay a group to sort after each
Mhm.
event.
Mhm. So
They
clubs
bring in-
can volunteer and then they can make money or they.
No, I think
or
that
they
Live Nation actually pays.
pays them.
I think
Yeah.
so. Just off of their aluminum cans alone, in one season, they made $80,000.
Wow.
And they used that, she's the experience manager, so she's in charge of employee morale, functions and events. And they use that money to put back into
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
fun things for the employees.
yeah.
We could do that here, I think, not easily, but I think it could be done.
I think it would be well received.
I do too.
Especially, I was told the younger generation will really
They're,
jump on.
yeah, I think they're much more aware.
So,
That's
Yeah.
about invasive.
It's great.
You know,
Oh, this is wonderful.
Really, thank you
Okay.
so much for sharing this, and Krista, you know, it's
Let
on
us-
the 23rd, is that something that, open for, if,
I
or
don't
is
know
that
why.
gonna be just a small group? That's
Well,
what it must be.
I wouldn't want 20, but
It's gonna be me, it's gonna be Brandy, it's gonna
Okay.
be one of our board members. It'll be you, Dawn. Did Tammy say she was coming?
I don't,
I don't remember.
I'll check with her, but
I'm meeting
and I
next week.
think Stephanie might be interested, but.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not a group of, not open it up to anybody,
Yeah,
but if
yeah.
you or you have
Okay.
someone that you want to be
Okay.
there,
Okay, well, I would be very interested
Any
if,
of
you know,
you?
just,
I think it should be opened up to our urban forestry.
yeah, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
or Denise, if you can send us.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least have
Yeah.
one.
Very sure you'll have a lot to relate back to.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And we won't be the experts
It's in
that you
information.
guys are.
That's my only one left, if you want one.
They're gonna make you sad.
This is gonna make me sad. Yeah.
Oh, these are alternatives.
Oh,
But
okay.
this- These are alternatives. This
These
is.
are, this is.
Should I leave a set of these for
Oh.
Dr. Ron?
Yeah, I'll keep them and then we'll get it to him. Yeah, he would enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that would be great. Well, thank you again, Julie and
Yeah.
Krista, and, yeah, we'll look forward to like an update maybe at our June meeting or something. So, okay, yeah.
Well, really, it's like things that.
It's the third
So it's really.
day.
Well, it's easy.
But if it's native, it would be easy
Yeah,
too.
it should be easy. Yeah.
Get here.
This
Yeah,
is.
save that in basic.
I have a native honeysuckle that I so beautiful. Like the blooms are just beautiful. And
It's the 19th.
I have on the backside of my guns, but
Yeah.
I'll go back there and look at it once in a while.
Yeah. I'll talk to Carol to see if, you know, if we don't have anything.
Yeah,
When,
so is that what we have so
Big-
much
Big
of?
new
Is that,
business
you
and
know,
just update sometimes, just communicate that,
So-
especially when we do activities, we'll replace
You can
that
do
with,
fall-
with our meetings, so I'll check with her, cause I know that
You're
the town hall
eradicating,
closed that
cutting
day.
it down.
I didn't even realize that fell on the same day.
June
Yeah.
to March.
Okay,
So-
all right,
I was gonna
Everyone.
say, I'm available that day. I'm
Yeah.
available that day.
okay.
I'm more than
Yeah,
happy.
this is nice,
All
alternatives.
of it.
I can come back anytime you guys.
Okay.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah,
It
okay.
makes it.
Well, you come every time,
If we could have, I mean.
but we'll
it'd be
definitely
great
check
to have
into the
some of
June
these
meeting, if
at
not,
the
maybe we'll do
room.
it in July.
Yes.
I mean, that would
Okay.
be,
Okay.
that would be great.
I will see what we,
Yeah,
to get some more of it.
Where do
Yeah.
those come from?
Those came from Hamilton County.
Wow.
They're really nice stuff.
yeah.
I just told Jeanette, I wish I could get 20 years of my life back so I could physically do this stuff.
I need 30.
Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to add or ask anything before?
So,
Lots of.
Yeah.
Lots of good
Yeah.
advice.
yes, thank you so much.
Yeah,